from Nanook Lodge. It is time for From a Cookbook episode. Today's random number generator, 135, Ottolenghi Simple. I fell in love with the Ottolenghi series of cookbooks a while back. The pictures are beautiful and I love what they teach me about Eastern Mediterranean flavors. Yotam Ottolenghi is from Israel and he just teaches me all sorts of good stuff when I read and thumb through his cookbooks. So I went through today, and today we're going to make a recipe called Bridget Jones's pan-fried salmon with pine nut salsa, or we're sort of going to make that. Looks really pretty, nice and light and healthy, and in the cookbook he talks about it being inspired by a line in Bridget Jones's diary about Ottolenghi. Ottolenghi is a restaurant in London. I've never been there. It's on my bucket list. I'll get there someday. But I don't have any salmon. Shelly and I like whitefish a lot better, so we are going to use halibut, which I do have. And I don't have any pine nuts. But I do have some hazelnuts, and hazelnuts are big here in the Northwest. Oregon grows a lot of them. So we're going to switch out the nuts, we're going to switch out the fish, but we'll make this dish and I'll show you how it goes. Here we've got all the ingredients laid out for the recipe. I've got the halibut. Produce is a lemon, some Italian parsley, and some celery. I think it's going to be real interesting with the crunch of the celery and then the softness of the currants. I actually have currants because I had them for another baking thing I was doing. Again, we're going to substitute hazelnuts for the pine nuts. I've got green olives. I buy these by the bucketful, as you can see, from Costco because we love green olives. Capers, saffron, which I buy when I'm over in the Middle East in Dubai when I work over there. It's cheaper than getting it here in the US and it's really great quality. We've got salt and pepper, of course, a little bit of olive oil, and then we're going to dust the halibut with a little bit of flour to keep it from sticking in the pan when we cook it. So we're first going to make the salsa, and then we will saute the halibut and then top it with the salsa and have some dinner. Here I've got all my prep ready to make the salsa, and this is something you could do ahead of time earlier in the day and then just saute the fish when you're ready and pour this over the top. So good step to get out of the way in the morning. It'll hold really well. So with olive oil, I've diced the celery. The currants are soaking in a little bit of warm water. We're going to drain those and add them. Chop the parsley. Chopped the green olives, capers, my hazelnuts. The bag I had that I showed you is actually already chopped and roasted. So in Yotam Ottolenghi's recipe, he has you saute the celery and the pine nuts or the nuts together. We're actually going to saute the celery for a little bit and then just toss the nuts in because we don't want them to get really brown or overcooked. I've got my saffron, just a pinch of saffron in warm water there. And then the lemon, we're going to zest it and use a little bit of the juice just when we're ready to finish the whole salsa. So let's go to the stove. All right, I got that olive oil nice and hot, pan nice and hot in there. We're going to add the celery. The recipe says to saute for 4 or 5 minutes until the nuts start to get brown. In this case, as I said, the nuts are already brown, so we're going to wait and add those for a while. So we're just going to saute this about 4 or 5 minutes until this celery starts to get a little tender. Don't want to get it too soft though, because we want it to keep its crunch. Our pretty green and black and brown and yellow salsa is finished. At this point, you can taste it and adjust it for salt if you need to. In his cookbook, he says adds a pinch of salt. I haven't added that yet. I'm gonna see how much salt the capers and the olives bring to it before I decide if I want salt. For me, this is plenty salty, so I'm gonna leave it. Salsa is finished, and then it'll be ready to put on the fish when we're ready to make that. Time to make the halibut ready for the saute pan. I'll take the 2 pieces of halibut. Just a light dusting of flour so they don't stick in the pan. Halibut with a hazelnut salsa. That's sort of similar to the salmon and pine nut salsa. Either way, it's going to be a delicious fish dish, all inspired by Ottolenghi Simple. I've chosen to pair that tonight with a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc from one of my favorite vineyards, Navarro Vineyards in California. They make great wine and their whites are really awesome. So this Sauvignon Blanc is going to go really well with this halibut. A little bit of sweetness from the currants, a little bit of crunch from the celery, a little bit of roundness and yumminess from the nuts. It's going to be a great meal. I'm going to put a little roasted green beans with this, kind of keeping with the green theme, and we're going to have a great dinner. Cheers!